Badge, my childhood gaming memories are few and foggy, but one that definitely sticks out is playing SimCity 2000 at my friend's house for hours on end. You know, we'd sit side by side on the one computer just taking turns, and we had a great time. We were obsessed.
Yeah, SimCity has certainly evolved from those early games. SimCity 2000, or even the very first incarnation in 1989 with the original SimCity. And while the series has branched out with various theme park and safari builders, SimCity Societies, The Sims, you just can't beat the original addictive glee of some good city planning.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a nostalgic experience for me coming back to this, but one realization I came to in the process is that I have about as much financial maturity now as I did as a 10-year-old girl. I sent 2 cities bankrupt in less than a day.
How does that even happen?
I don't know, I just want to give the people what they want, but they want so much, Barjo.
You just need to be more disciplined, Hex. What's that? You're feeling sick? Suck it up. I've got bigger issues to deal with, such as this tornado.
The game certainly looks slick, and while a lot feels familiar, there are a few changes to the core gameplay that differ from the city builder that I remember. And times certainly are a-changin' when you have to be constantly online to play a game. I mean, I understand the need for DRM, but because of SimCity's shaky launch, it left a lot of players unable to connect to servers, causing some pretty intense frustration. It rendered the game unplayable for some.
Yeah, happily, we actually didn't have that much of an issue. We had a few dropouts and we lost a save here and there. We were trying to linger on it too long. It seems most of the connectivity issues we had were the player-to-player stuff. That is, in this installment of the franchise, you're able to choose from a handful of pre-created terrain options, which provide a varying number of set locations for players to claim. You can inhabit these terrains with friends, or join an existing map filled with other random players already building away, and stake a spot next to them. You make your choice based on what natural resources the land has to offer, which you will hopefully profit from in the future.
This system is in place so that you can set up trade negotiations with your neighbours, offer them money, services, or get them to help you out with things like water supply or garbage collection if you're in a bind.
It's a nice idea, and when we managed to connect together at the same time, it worked well. Plus, it's nice being able to nosy on over to your neighbour's city and check everything out whenever you like.
That said, though, there's also something about this that feels quite restrictive. I mean, my memory of SimCity was being able to shape and doctor the landscape to suit my specifications. I always favoured a landscape with a river running through it, but if I wanted to fill in part of that river and build over it, or randomly chuck a lake in the middle of my city halfway through the game, then I could. Whereas here, you're given your little square of land and your dotted line that you have to stay within the boundaries of, and that's it.
Yeah, but happily, the city building stays true to its roots. You begin by zoning residential, commercial, and industrial areas for your Sims to build in, connect them with roads, and then make sure they all have access to both water and power. As more and more Sims start to build in your city, you'll need to provide them with a seemingly endless supply of city services like public transport, hospitals, schools, and so on.
I thought it was cool as well that very early on you can have your own superhero living in your city, although he has to be paid, and of course a villain to create some chaos, but add potential financial benefit to you. So it's all about that balancing act. That said, prioritising is really hard.
Factories are constantly being abandoned because not enough university-educated workers are available to run them. But being able to afford a university is no easy task when there are so many basic city services like police and ambulance that require constant upgrades and expansion. Not to mention that you need to purchase a Department of Education for your town hall first.
I felt like my city was just always on fire. I had so many fire stations, big ones mind you, and yet there must be a zillion factors to consider as to why your buildings are burning down. Too many abandoned buildings are a fire risk. Criminals committing arson because you haven't got enough squad cars at your police station or your jail cells are full. No high schools in your area means that people aren't educated in basic fire safety and so are just constantly setting fires by accident. And if you haven't upgraded your roadways to large, expensive avenues, fire trucks will get caught in the traffic and not be able to put the blaze out in time. Honestly, it's a nightmare. A delicious, addictive nightmare.
And just when I think I've saved up enough money, bam, power outage. I now need to spend all my savings on upgrades to my power plant or nothing will have power and everything will shut down.
It's mental, isn't it? It never ends. And suddenly it's 4 in the morning and I'm so far in debt there's just no coming out of it. I mean, you can accept bonds to temporarily bail yourself out, but I did that 3 times and I spent it all. The only choice I had left was to raise taxes by a lot. My Sims then hated me and all moved out. I knew then, Barjo, that it was over.
Yes, then the only course of action left to you is to unleash the lizard. Although really the trick to raking in the cash is focusing on new city specializations. So you can set up towns to be great big dirty mining cities or your own little Las Vegas. And it's pretty satisfying setting up a tourist city and watching thousands of people flood in from the region to see a rock show.
All in all, this game really has evolved in so many ways, but there are also aspects of it that really feel like they confine the player as well. Some people I've spoken to really like working within those boundaries, but for me it just feels like some of that creativity's been taken out of it. Also, while I know that they're pushing the multiplayer experience, for me SimCity always felt like a really solo game, and having to always be online to play this just feels a bit dumb.
Yeah, but in Max's defense, this game couldn't be what it is without that online component, because a lot of the simulation actually takes place in the cloud.
Yeah, you know, I kind of assumed that it was just for DRM, but when I saw how much was being simulated at once, I'd be inclined to believe that. I just don't think they've sold the idea of this game very well, because that's an exciting concept, having so much cloud simulation.
There is a lot of good here though, there are a lot of positives. Lots of stat-driven, colour-coded maps to pore over if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of your city's overview. And the interface for the most part is well thought out. The suggestions and hints from your various departments generally are quite clear in the way they guide you towards the best course of action to solve an issue.
I do think, though, that the game does push you towards that player-to-player connectivity stuff, and you do lose out on a bit if you try and approach this as a single-player experience, if you're not taking advantage of the benefits of all those trade systems, and it's a lot harder to unlock some of those things like those great work sites.
You could start your own bunch of cities on your own map and have them trade between each other, and in the long run that can actually be a bit better because you've got more control over what's going on.
Yeah, you could do that, although micromanagement stress levels would definitely go through the roof. Ultimately, I think the fact that I lost so much sleep stuck in a city building zone proves that SimCity is still doing something right.
It is hard to recommend this game right now because at the time of review, a big part of its functionality just isn't working. Having said that, I feel like with an online game, it is unfair to judge it completely on its launch week, so I'm going to put launch issues aside and give it 7.5. I had a great time.
Yeah, I mean, it's upsetting because I could feel my friends' frustration as I saw them constantly signing in and out, just trying to maintain a stable connection. You know, for some, it was more than a train wreck. It was a giant angry lizard of destruction. But when I was online and playing, I had a ball, so I'm giving it 7.